the how to calculate the turning circle radius. Okay, equation for the turning circle radius. Then we have solved some numericals based on that. Now my question is, do you guarantee that if you design, please listen this question carefully. If you design the steering system perfectly, the vehicle will have the directional stability. I am talking about the brand new vehicle. So, do you guarantee that? So, what is your answer? Have you understood my question? See, my question is that you have perfectly designed the vehicle, and now you have perfectly designed the steering system and you fitted the steering system on the vehicle. What is the guarantee that you are going to get the perfect directional stability by the perfect design of the steering system? Is there anything which plays a role as far as the directional stability is concerned? Sir, please answer yes, no, don't know. Okay. So you say that wheel alignment is another aspect which has to be looked into it. So what do you understand by wheel alignment? See, whenever some road smoothness also agreed, road smoothness is also then wheel balancing also. Okay. So you mean to say that even if you see, I am talking about the new vehicle. So wheel alignment, I can agree. Wheel balance, I can agree. Road smoothness to that particular thing, I don't agree, because when you design the vehicle, you don't design the vehicle for any specific kind of the road. Rather, you design the vehicle for the rough as well as the smooth road condition, provided that it should not be the off-road vehicle. The off-road vehicle, the conditions are different. What do you mean by off-road vehicle is, for example, you are using tractor or some construction equipments which are not to be, which are meant for specific purpose. So they are the off-road vehicles. Okay. Now please understand that as most of you have pointed out, um, after the vehicle get assembled on the assembly line, you have to check the inherent, you can say, problems with the vehicle. So what is that we are going to see? The first thing is, you have to have the wheel alignment. And what do you mean by wheel alignment? This is an important, you can say, slide which tells you about the wheel alignment. So the wheel alignment refers to positioning of the front wheels and steering mechanism that gives the directional stability of the vehicle, promotes ease of steering and reduce tire wear. What it says, the wheel alignment is nothing but it is the positioning of the front wheels, because we are discussing the car or the multi-utility vehicle or the sports utility vehicle, where they, in these vehicles, the vehicles are steered by the front wheels. Okay. So in order to achieve the directional stability, the wheel positioning has to be done properly, so that you should achieve the reduced tire wear, promote ease of steering and directional stability. The directional stability is the foremost and primary concern as far as the steering system is concerned. So then wheel alignment includes front wheel geometry. So what is the front wheel geometry? What do you mean by camber, caster, toe in and toe out? So this we have to understand. And before wheel alignment, the vehicle defects have to be corrected. So this line is very, very important. So what are the vehicle defects? You see that there can be a vehicle defect. What are the different types of vehicle defect? See, wheel alignment. So before wheel alignment, the vehicle defects have to be corrected. The vehicle defect have to be corrected means what? That we are going to see. when you manufacture the vehicle, then there are certain inherent defects which gets included into the vehicle, though you have fitted, you have assembled the vehicle with all components within their tolerance limit, but there are certain problems which comes due to that tolerance limit, and that we are going to see. So what are the build defects in that? The first thing, if you see that this is the geometric center line, that means it should pass through the center of the vehicle. And then we will see one by one what are the defects in that. The direction of travel of a vehicle, please read this very carefully. The direction of travel of vehicle is determined by vehicle center line, the line which actually passes through the center of the vehicle body. Then geometric center line, it connects the midpoint of the front wheels and rear wheel. Actually, the geometric center line and vehicle center line in actual vehicle, they should coincide. Okay, because if they do not coincide, then there can be a problem. Then the thrust line is the line from the midpoint between the two rear wheels. So this is basically the thrust line, the geometric center line. It connects the, that means the difference in the geometric center line and the thrust line is that this is the line from the midpoint between the two rear wheels. यानी rear wheel के जो midpoint है हो सकता है वो shift हो, ये center line pass हो, लेकिन थोड़ा सा अगर वो shift रहेगा तो you will get the thrust line. So that particular thrust line may create some problems. So what are the problems? Thrust line represents the path vehicle will try to take. This is called as tracking. That means अगर आप ये exaggerated picture है, thrust line का अगर थोड़ा सा भी deviation रहेगा, angle रहेगा, तो vehicle उस दिशा में it will move in that particular direction, which is called as tracking. The thrust angle affects handling by causing a pull in the direction away from the thrust line. So जो pull है वो thrust line के आपको दूसरी तरफ फील होगा. So in rear wheel drive vehicle, this may be caused by chassis damage, then proper positioning of the rear axle, improper adjustment on the rear wheel. So this results in the tire wear. That means you have to make sure that your thrust line, geometric center line and vehicle center line, they should be coincident. If in case there is a certain variation or there is a certain small deviation in the center line of the two axles, then there can be a generation of the thrust line where in that case you can experience the tracking. So this is one defect. This can happen due to the accident as well. If you have got the impact on the front axle or rear axle, so then these centers may shift slightly, which may not be noticed, but when you drive the vehicle you may feel that. Okay, so this is the case. Now the other defects are wheel setback. What is wheel setback? Wheelbase from one side to other, it occurs when one wheel is behind the other on the same axle. See, this is shown here, that on the same, suppose you are using the independent suspension system, then such kind of problem can occur due to assembly, even if the components are well within the tolerance limit, but such kind of problem may occur, and that is called as a wheel setback. So the reasons for the setback, and this is basically the sketch which shows you the wheel setback. ये थोड़ा सा यहाँ पे जो है, ये अगर आप इसका रेफरेंस देखें तो ये व्हील थोड़ा सा आगे है. एज अ रिजल्ट क्या मिलेगा आपको, ये जो इसमें ये व्हील बेस है, दिस व्हील बेस विल बी ग्रेटर, this will be greater, and this wheelbase on the other side, this will be the wheelbase. If you take wheelbase from here, then that wheelbase will be less. Okay, so this may happen. So vehicle setback, or sorry, setback on the vehicle has to be corrected first. Okay, then you can do the wheel alignment. So wheel setback is the difference wheelbase from one side to other It occurs when one wheel is behind the other on the same axle. Reasons for the setback is it results from production tolerances. This is not through, this is from production tolerances during vehicle manufacturing and from collision or impact damage. A vehicle will drift or pull towards the side of shorter wheelbase. It is experienced that the vehicle will move in the direction of the shorter wheelbase. Setback more than 1919 mm is excessive. It usually indicates bent part. So you might have seen that some of the lorries, which are old lorries and which are loaded with certain, you can say, load or goods, then you observe from the front that it will move on one particular side. So that is because of this particular setback. If you check the wheelbase, then you will find that it may be excess will setback, and that shows that that vehicle might have been made with the accident or there is some problem with the vehicle. So please understand that this is very important from the point of view of the purchase of the second hand vehicle. So what exactly the person who comes to you to you can say inspect your vehicle, if you want to give it the vehicle to the suppose True Value or car 24s and all those people who are buying the old vehicle, then how do they come to know that there is some problem in the vehicle or not, whether the previously it has met with an accident or not. So they will check these kinds of parameter for the vehicle, and they can easily make out if there is any damage or any problem in the vehicle or whether it has been made with the accident or not. So based on that, they can find out the cost of the vehicle. That means the cost of purchasing of the vehicle from you. So these people, they have been trained, they have been given certain kind of, you can say, training as how to check the vehicle. Some of the people, they will be interested not in the body but they will be interested in the inside of the vehicle. So आपको वो सब चीजें समझ में आएंगी if अगर vehicle का कहीं previously accident हुआ है कि नहीं. Okay, you can make it from the insurance history of the vehicle if you have done any insurance claim on the vehicle or not, but still they can make out just by doing this simple measurement कि यहाँ का distance measure करो और यहाँ का distance measure करो, तो आपको समझ में आएगा कि कुछ तो भी गड़बड़ है अगर ये एक्सेसिव टॉलरेंस में है. और कुछ बेंड पार्ट्स जो है, सपोज देयर आर सर्टेन पार्ट्स, जो चेसी जो होता है अगर वो परमानेंट बेंड हो गया तो देन इट इज वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू मेक इट स्ट्रेट, दो इट कैन बी डन बट दैट्स अ वेरी कॉस्टली अफेयर. ओके, so it is recommended that setback be corrected before wheel alignment. यानी wheel alignment करने के पहले ये पैरामीटर आपने चेक करना चाहिए. अदरवाइज इवन इफ यू सेट द व्हील्स properly as recommended by the vehicle manufacturer, you may not get the directional stability. सर यूजुअली ऐसी केस होती है सर, आप जब टू व्हीलर चलाते हो अपने दोस्त की, अगर वो टू व्हीलर पहले से कहीं गिरी हुई है या कहीं एक्सीडेंट हो गया है उस व्हीकल का, और तो वन साइड उसका थोड़ा सा चेसी जो है वो बेंड हो जाता है. So in that case, if you are a new person, you are driving that vehicle for the first time, you will come to know that कि वो vehicle थोड़ा एक साइड में पुल करता है. ओके, इट इज बेसिकली दिस थिंग कि थोड़ा सा बेंट अगर हो गया तो वो व्हीकल सेंटर लाइन, ज्योमेट्रिक सेंटर लाइन एंड थ्रस्ट लाइन, दे डू नॉट कोइंसाइड. सो ये सब चीजें है सर. ये आपको वैसे भी अभी आप किसी टैक्सी व्हीकल में बैठो जो सवारी काइंड ऑफ व्हीकल, दे आर मूविंग ऑन द रोड फ्रॉम गोइंग फ्रॉम वन प्लेस टू अनदर प्लेस बाय शेयरिंग, यू कैन से on sharing basis, then also you will come to know that कि वो थोड़ा सा एक साइड में व्हीकल जाता है, या आप जस्ट हाईवे पे खड़े रहो और ये सवारी व्हीकल आते हैं तो कुछ व्हीकल देखिएगा, सो काफी सारे व्हीकल उसमें से प्रॉब्लमेटिक रहते हैं. So you can make out just by the keen observation. Okay, now let us discuss what are the different you can say things related to wheel alignment. The first is camber. So what do you mean by the camber? Okay, so by any chance have you heard this word camber, caster? सर आपने पढ़े हैं क्या सर, ये वर्ड कभी सुने हैं आपने? कभी व्हील बैलेंसिंग का रिपोर्ट देखा है क्या आपके, या व्हील अलाइनमेंट का रिपोर्ट देखा है आपके व्हीकल का? Good that most of the people have seen. Here they have said yes, 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 Prajwal and other people. So sir, what exactly it is given? यश ने बोला है यस सर, प्रज्वल ने भी देखा है। तो सर कभी आप उसकी पढ़ने की कोशिश किए क्या? अमेय ने भी बोला है यस। तो सर अगर आप कभी पढ़ने की कोशिश करो तो उसमें आपको बहुत सारे एंगल दिखेंगे, कोई 3 डिग्री पॉजिटिव, कोई 3 डिग्री 2.5 डिग्री निगेटिव एंड ऑल दोस थिंग्स। 3 degrees positive, then 2.5 degrees in negative direction. So what are these angles? What do you mean by these angles that we are going to discuss now? The first thing in this series is camber. So let us see what do you mean by the camber. So camber क्या है सर? ये चीज है camber. That means if you see the vehicle from the front side, then you may find that the front wheels of the vehicle. See, all these things which we are discussing, they are related to front wheels of the vehicle, because wheel alignment is more critical for the front wheel compared to the rear wheel, because the front wheel they give the direction to the vehicle. So if let us say that this is a road, ये रोड है, ये रोड को नॉर्मल है, okay, and if you look at the vehicle from the front side, you see that the vehicles they are bent on one particular direction. That means the top of the wheel is in the outward direction. This you cannot make out just by observation, because this angle is very small. So what camber says, uh, the camber is the angle of the wheel relative to vertical as viewed from the of front or the rear. But usually please note that from rear you cannot make out, because if you are talking about the car, then आप front wheel नहीं देख सकते rear से, ये तो। लेकिन डेफिनेटली आप स्पोर्ट्स यूटिलिटी व्हीकल के जहां ग्राउंड क्लियरेंस ज्यादा है उसको तो आप देख सकते हैं, बट इट नाउअडेज that is also very difficult. This you have to check it just to understand that what is basically camber. It is basically, if you view the vehicle from the front side, you see that those two vehicles, those two tires of the front wheel, the distance between the top is more compared to bottom of the vehicle, then that you say that it is camber. It is other way round कि ये जो जो पार्ट रोड को टच हुआ है वो बाहर निकलेगा। तो ये पहले डेफिनेशन तो देख लो कि इट इज द एंगल ऑफ द व्हील रिलेटिव टू वर्टिकल एज व्यूड फ्रॉम फ्रंट। ये रियर छोड़ दो, बिकॉज दिस इज एप्लीकेबल फॉर सम अदर काइंड ऑफ व्हीकल आल्सो, वेयर for which you can see the front wheels from the rear. Okay, but I don't think that it is very true, but this is the general definition of the camber. Then if the wheel leans in the wheel leans in towards the chassis, it has a negative camber. तो ये सर, ये जो है अभी इनसाइड है, ये निगेटिव कैम्बर बोलेंगे कि यहाँ आपकी व्हीकल बॉडी है सर। As I said that in the previous sketch, this part was at the other side. That means it was on this side. Now it has moved to this side, whereas the outer part, where the wheel touches the ground, is slightly away from the vehicle body. Okay, so this is called as the negative camber. If it leans away from the chassis, it has the positive camber. तो ये सर ये away from the chassis, तो ये सर आपका हो गया पॉजिटिव कैम्बर और ये हो गया आपका निगेटिव कैम्बर। ओके, तो सर ये आप सिर्फ व्हीकल निकाल फ्रंट व्हील निकाल के भी बता सकते हो। सो इज दिस क्लियर? व्हाट डू यू मीन बाय पॉजिटिव कैम्बर, पॉजिटिव नेगेटिव? ओके, Yash has said that positive negative is okay. So this is the positive and negative camber. This is the definition. Please remember that this is very confusing, because if I ask you the question after let us say 10-15 days, you may not be in a position to remember this, because after this we are going to study caster, toe in, toe out. So lot many terms are going to come here. So this is at least it is true for my case. I don't remember unless I see the picture what is camber and what is the caster and what is toe in and toe out. So please note that the positive and negative camber is shown like this. Then what it says, again I have shown you with relative to the slide shows you with relative to your bill. So this is the positive camber, this is the negative camber, will camber. These values are specified by, see, these values they differ for from vehicle to vehicle and manufacturer to manufacturer. Different designers they specify this value and you have to maintain this value, otherwise there may be some problem as far as the you can say tire wear is concerned and the directional stability is concerned. Okay, so we have understood what is positive wheel camber and negative wheel camber. So let us shift to next slide. Now definition, the inward or outward tilt. This is another definition. The inward and outward tilt of the top of the wheel as viewed from the front. Typical ranges. This is basically the range of the camber. Front camber plus or minus. So plus is for positive and minus is for negative camber, and then the rear camber. Usually, most of the time the rear wheel is not given some camber, but if the designer of the vehicle they specify, they specifically the suspension system people, if they specify, then you have to maintain that, but most of the time it will not be specified. Okay, nowadays they specify it because of the independent suspension system, but previously when there used to be a rigid axle suspension system, so these values they were not specified, but abhi wo specify karte hain independent suspension system for all the four wheels of the vehicle, they go for it. So again this is the positive one and this is the निगेटिव वन, यानी ये इनसाइड है ऊपर वाला पार्ट, ये व्हीकल बॉडी की तरफ है, तो ये हो गया निगेटिव। अगर ये अवे फ्रॉम द व्हीकल बॉडी है तो ये पॉजिटिव। ये हाउ कैन यू मेक द व्हीकल बॉडी, दिस इज द इनसाइड पार्ट ऑफ द व्हीकल बॉडी, ठीक है, और ये न्यूट्रल। नाउ द नेक्स्ट वन, व्हील कैम्बर, द इंक्लिनेशन बिटवीन द व्हील सेंटर प्लेन, ये अनदर डेफिनेशन है। और पॉजिटिव व्हील कैम्बर, ये अभी आपने ये निगेटिव ये इसका पढ़िएगा। पॉजिटिव व्हील कैम्बर, a positive wheel camber on the front axle leads to improved straight ahead tracking and reduces the steering offset. So steering offset नाम का एक प्रकार है, तो वो कम करता है। However, the disadvantage are a reduction in the cornering forces and increase the tire wear of the outer running surfaces. Please note that all these things they are the result of what you get. This the cornering forces, reduction in the cornering forces, this comes from the vehicle dynamic analysis. So we just cannot make by seeing that if you give the camber to the vehicle, what are the different forces which is going to act on the vehicle. No, we have to write down the complete equation of the force balance along with couple and moment and then comment on this. So this is the final result. If you ask me, sir, how we can say this, then the answer to this is we have to do the analysis. This is the outcome of the vehicle dynamic analysis. In vehicle dynamics, the different forces they are considered, including the wind forces, their point of action, then drag and other things, they are there. Road surface forces, they are also considered. So the final outcome is the disadvantages are a reduction in the cornering forces and increased tire wear of the outer running surface. This is going to happen. Now negative camber, it says that enlarges the steering offset and improves cornering stability. So negative camber जो है आपका वो cornering stability बढ़ा देता है. However, the disadvantage is increased tire wear the inner running surface. Here please note that it is the outer running surface in the positive wheel camber. Here it is the inner running surface. तो सर इसका अभी प्रीवियस स्लाइड से कोरिलेशन करते हैं कि क्या होगा करके। हाँ, तो ये सर है, ये अगर इफ इट इज लीन इनवर्ड देन यहाँ पे वो ज्यादा कॉन्टैक्ट फोर्सेस आएंगे तो यहाँ वियर होगा, अगर आउटवर्ड रहेगा तो उल्टा होगा। सो दिस इज बेसिकली द थिंग व्हिच इज हैपनिंग ड्यू टू द व्हील कैम्बर। तो तो सर कैम्बर देना अच्छा है कि बुरा? व्हाट डू यू फील? Sir, I expect answer from you whether to give the whether vehicle should be given vehicle wheels should be given camber or not. Sir, please answer. Should be given. Sir, why we should give that? Camber देने की क्या जरूरत है sir? See, ideally camber should not be given to the wheels. But what happens in order to make a wheel vertical, when you load that, the camber is required, whether it is positive or negative, because loading के कारण it should not happen that the wheels they may move further apart or they should come further close. Okay, so in order to balance that, when you load the vehicle, because there can be a play in the joints of the suspension system, so that camber is given to just compensate that the wheel should be perpendicular to the road. Okay, so that is the purpose. Okay, any amount of camber cause wear on tire. Please note that if you give the camber, so that is going to definitely cause some wear on the tire. But somehow to have the directional stability, the camber has to be provided. Okay, so ideally, sir, ये कुछ नहीं देना है. अगर if you make sure that the wheel is always perpendicular to the road surface, then there is no need of giving this, whether the vehicle is loaded or whether the vehicle is unloaded. But it doesn't happen. Now, purpose of wheel camber. Now it gives you the purpose. When a load is placed on the front axle, the wheel camber becomes more neutral, tire wear remains low. So this is the reason which I told you just a minute back. Then the next is wheel camber driven rigid axle have a positive wheel camber angle inherent in the design. Okay, if you have the vehicles to be driven by a rigid axle system, that means if you do not have independent suspension system, then positive wheel camber is inherent in design. That means you have to have that positive camber. Then wheel camber non driven rear axles are fitted without wheel camber. Okay, तो ये rear axle की बात कर रहा है कि rear axle को अगर आप पावर नहीं देते हो तो जीरो कैम्बर रखना ही उचित है. Now camber, what is the problem? The camber may cause a pull. Cross member is the side to side difference in camber measurement. Then cross camber, it says that more than half degree difference from side to side may cause the vehicle to pull the wheel with the most positive camber. Okay, so let me check if I have got the video to show you the camber. कैस्टर ये डिस्कस करने के पहले देखते हैं कि वीडियो है कि नहीं. अगर रहेगा तो आई विल शो दैट वीडियो. हियरिंग सिस्टम वीडियो विल अलाइनमेंट, ये है सर कैम्बर का वीडियो चला रहा हूँ. इसको कैसा
settings on a vehicle will improve road isolation and directional stability. Incorrectly, those can cause tire wear and handling problems. Camber is defined as the inward or outward tilt of the wheel at the top, as viewed from the front. Camber is measured in degrees. A wheel with 0 degrees camber is vertical. A wheel that tilts outward at the top has positive camber. A wheel that tilts inward at the top has negative camber.
So once again, I will play the video.
Camber. The proper camber settings on a vehicle will improve road isolation and directional stability. Incorrect camber angles can cause tire wear and handling problems. Camber is defined as the inward or outward tilt of the wheel at the top, as viewed from the front. Camber is measured in degrees. A wheel with 0 degrees camber is vertical. A wheel that tilts outward at the top has positive camber. A wheel that tilts inward at the top has negative camber.
So, are you able to see the video? Sir, please reply in the chat box because there is no way to know that. Okay. So again, I will show you different other video which will give you regarding the idea for the pull because of the camber.
Large side-to-side differences in front camber can cause unwanted steering forces, which may lead to a pull. When camber is 0, no steering forces are generated from either side. Each wheel should tend to roll straight ahead. But when one wheel is cambered, example, positive on the right side, it immediately begins rolling to the right. Combine this with the left wheel cambered negative. Now both wheels want to roll to the right, generating even greater steering force. As a rule of thumb, a camber pull will typically direct the vehicle towards the side with the most positive setting. Note the following examples. To prevent camber pull, the manufacturers normally specify the same preferred setting for each side. If camber cannot be set the same on each side, it should be set so the side-to-side variance does not exceed the manufacturer's specifications. If a cross-camber tolerance is not available, use 0.25 degrees as a rule of thumb. The only exception occurs when the manufacturer specifies different preferred settings for each wheel.
So, sir, is this clear now? What is camber? What is caster? What is camber and what are the effects? Okay. So now we will discuss what do you mean by the caster. Okay. So again, I will show you the video for the caster also. First, try to understand what do you mean by caster. Here now you look at the vehicle from the front for the camber. Now see what is going to happen when, what do you mean by the caster. So it says that as viewed from front side, the angle between the kingpin center line and vertical line from its center is called as caster angle. And I know that you have not understood this. Okay. So again, we'll see what clarification it has given. Caster is the angle to which the steering pivot axis is tilted forward or rearward from the vertical as viewed from the side. Now अभी थोड़ा सा सर साइड में चलिएगा व्हीकल के. अभी आपने फ्रंट से देखा व्हीकल को, व्हीकल फ्रंट व्हील्स को. अभी आप साइड से देखिए कि जहां आपका ये पिवोट टर्निंग कैसे होता है. ठीक है. Caster is the forward or rearward tilt of the kingpin center line when viewed from side of the vehicle. तो सर ये सिर्फ इतना याद रखो, मैं आपको वीडियो बताता हूँ जिसमें आपको ये पूरी आइडिया जो है वो क्लियर हो जाएगी एज टू कौन सा कैम्बर है कौन सा कैस्टर है. ठीक है. ये अभी कैस्टर की बात करते हैं सर. आई विल शो यू द वीडियो because then it will be very clear for you what do you mean by caster.
The primary functions of caster are to improve directional stability
See,
and returnability.
ये tilt है, ये उसने
Incorrect
जो बताया।
caster angles can cause excessive steering effort and tire wear. Caster is defined as the forward or rearward tilt of the steering axis as compared to a vertical line and viewed from the side. Caster is measured in degrees. Caster is positive when the top of the steering axis is tilted rearward. Caster is negative when the top of the steering axis is tilted forward.
तो सर अभी समझ में आया? I hope you have understood this by looking at the video. Now अभी कैस्टर का दूसरा वीडियो देखते हैं कि कैस्टर का मतलब क्या है।
Large side-to-side differences in front caster can cause unwanted steering forces, which may lead to a pull. To understand how caster might cause a pull, let's begin with a description of its purpose. Caster is often used to enhance straight line stability. A positive angle is normally specified for this purpose. With positive caster, vehicle weight on each spindle helps hold them in a straight ahead position. When the wheels are steered, this same load helps push the spindles back to straight ahead. If a large side-to-side error occurs, steering force towards the side with the lesser positive caster is created. In this example, caster is 2 degrees negative on the left side and 2 degrees positive on the right. With these settings, steering force will be directed towards the left side, causing a pull. In this example, caster on the right side has the lesser positive position and may cause steering force to the right. If caster cannot be set the same on each side, it should be set so the side-to-side variance does not exceed the manufacturer's specifications. In this example, cross caster should not exceed 0.85 degrees. If a cross caster tolerance is not available, use 0.5 degrees as a rule of thumb. The only exception occurs when the manufacturer specifies different preferred settings for each wheel.
So I hope now the video has made the caster very clear, because it is good to look at the good to see the video rather than imagination. Okay, and there is a pull. This I have pull cam caster I have shown. Then there are 2 videos which are on the wheel alignment, so I will just play them and then we can discuss further. This is regarding the wheel alignment.
Alignment adjustment points front and rear requires 4-wheel alignment. In this program, we'll illustrate the order in which the wheels should normally be corrected and why. Once the initial setup and measurements are complete, adjust the rear wheels to specifications first. Correction of the rear wheels at this time is vital to an accurate 4-wheel alignment. To understand why, let's look at front wheel alignment. When measuring any front wheel angle, you begin by placing the front wheels straight ahead, even for a caster steer. You start from straight ahead, and you end at straight ahead. The straight ahead reference used for front measurements is thrust line. Thrust line is the direction the rear wheels are pointed. Consequently, thrust line must be established first for accurate measurement and final adjustment of front wheel geometry. Complete the rear wheel alignment by correcting camber on each side if adjustable. Then set toe on each side. As toe is adjusted, thrust line changes too. Once toe is at spec on each side, Thrust line will be parallel with the geometric center line. To finish, align the front wheels to specification. As a general rule of thumb, adjust camber first, then caster if it is adjustable. Finally, toe and center steering.
So now I hope the wheel alignment is clear to you. Basically, you have to start it from the reference is the front wheel and start it from the rear wheel. So let us come to the presentation. So caster, we have recently seen what is the caster. Then this is showing you the actual thing, that this is true vertical line and this is the kingpin alignment. So this is the positive caster. If it is aligned like this, if it is aligned like this, then it is termed as the negative caster. Then zero caster, center line of kingpin is vertical, center line of the kingpin is tilted backward, then it is the positive caster. And if it is tilted in the front direction, then it is negative caster. This you can make out just by looking at the bicycle handle, the cycle which you drive. If you say that the steering of the cycle, the handle of the cycle, if it is lean backward from the center line, that which we call it as the kingpin, then it is comfortable. The normal bike, they are given the normal bicycle, I am telling you, the positive caster. If you just make just imagine that कि फ्रंट व्हील का जो रोटेशन का जो सेंटर है उसके ऊपर अगर हैंडल का पॉइंट है, यानी जो आपका जो फोर्क रहता है हैंडल का बाइसिकल का, कभी फोर्क देखना, if it becomes vertical, then that is the case of the neutral caster, that means no caster. And if the handle is towards your seat, then it is basically a positive caster. And in the third case, if the handle is away from the seat, that means वो center line जो है front wheel का, उसके अगर आगे है, so then that becomes negative caster and it becomes very difficult to drive the vehicle. So negative caster, positive caster, you can understand it from that point of view. And when you view the vehicle wheels from the side, okay, तो हमने कहाँ से अभी व्हीकल व्हील को देखा सर, हमने फ्रंट से देखा, तो हमने बोला कि कैम्बर है, अगर वो टॉप वाला जो पोर्शन है वो अगर वो बाहर के साइड में है, दैट मींस अवे फ्रॉम द व्हीकल बॉडी, देन वी टर्म दैट एज अ पॉजिटिव. If it is leaning into the body, then we are saying that it is negative. So we have seen camber, we have seen caster. Now the next thing is you can have toe in and toe out. So let us see whether toe in and toe out what it says. So ये actually आपको caster की पूरी positions बताई है, ठीक है. तो अभी ये जीरो कैस्टर की सिचुएशन बताई है, हाउ द जीरो कैस्टर इज देयर. देन द नेगेटिव फॉरवर्ड टिल्ट इज अ नेगेटिव कैस्टर and backward tilt is a positive caster. So this we have seen the video as well. Now the purpose of caster, so it is directional stability. Caster is a directional stability angle. Caster by itself does not affect tire wear. Tire wear नहीं होता है. The principle is exactly same as that used in tilting the front fork of the bicycle. This is what I have mentioned just now, which makes it possible to ride the bicycle without holding the handlebar. कि जैसे वो सर सर्कस की जो साइकिल होती है ना, वो सिंगल व्हील वाली, so that is basically is having the neutral caster, but if you see it is slightly leaned backward in order to give the positive caster, then it becomes easy, otherwise it becomes very difficult. So when the front wheels are turned, caster lifts one side of the vehicle, lowers the other side when steering is released and all those things. So don't get into it. Now caster angle. So effect of caster angle of each wheel on the axle should be equal. Unequal caster angle cause the vehicle to steer towards the side of lesser caster. So this is the effect. Okay. Too little अगर रहा कैस्टर तो व्हील इंस्टेबिलिटी, वॉन्डरिंग एंड पुअर व्हील रिकवरी. और टू मच रहा तो हार्ड स्टीयरिंग एंड ओवर स्टीयरिंग भी हो सकता है कैस्टर का इफेक्ट। जनरली कैस्टर की ये जो रेंज होती है, दिस आई विल सेंड यू दिस प्रेजेंटेशन, सो डोंट वरी अबाउट दैट। तो ये जो है रेंज है, ये 2 से 4 होती है, 6 होती है कार पे। पॉजिटिव कैस्टर इंक्रीजेस द efforts of steering. So generally heavy duty trucks are provided with negative caster. So सर ये याद रखना कि स्टीयरिंग एफर्ट कम करने के लिए हेवी ड्यूटी ट्रक को निगेटिव कैस्टर का यूज होता है। So this makes steering easy for the truck. Now toe in and toe out. So toe in and toe out की अभी तक के हमने सामने से देखा व्हीकल व्हील्स को, साइड से देखा। Now if you see from the top, then whatever you see, that is termed as the toe in and toe out. So we'll see what is toe in and what is toe out. Now if you are looking at the wheel from the top, so this is basically the top view of the vehicle. अगर ये जो फ्रंट वाले उसके कॉर्नर है, if they are closer compared to rear one, here it is shown that a minus b is greater than 0. ये जो rear side है, ये सर यहाँ ये पूरी vehicle body है सर, ठीक है। Now you are looking at the wheels from the top, then and then only you can define toe in and toe out. Okay, so this picture clearly gives you the idea कि अगर व्हीकल का जो आउटर मोस्ट कॉर्नर है, जब आप ऊपर से देखते हो तो फ्रंट वाला जो कॉर्नर है वो अगर काफी बाहर है और जो इनर वाला जो है वो अंदर है, तो दैट इज टो आउट। अगर वो इनर वाले जो कॉर्नर है, सॉरी द फ्रंट वाले कॉर्नर अगर इनसाइड है, तो दैट इज बिकम टो इन। सो देयर आर, यू कैन से, 3 things we have seen: the toe in, toe out, camber, caster, toe in and toe out. So what it says, the top view, toe is a symmetric angle that each wheel makes with the longitudinal axis of the vehicle. यानी longitudinal axis यानी ये axis, ठीक है, और ये एंगल है सर आपका, ये यहाँ का, ये आगे जाके जो मिलेगा, it is that angle, it is this angle. Okay, so this is the what it says, you read it. Toe is a symmetric angle that each wheel makes with the longitudinal axis of the vehicle. So I hope you might have understood this toe in and toe out. तो सर ये पिक्चर दिया हुआ है, measured distance is shorter between the front of the tires. For example, उसने बताया हुआ है 79 and 80. So 80 minus 79 is 1 inch. That is basically the toe in. Sir, please note that these are basically the slides which I am showing, which we use to give the training to the service people or the workshop managers, so that they should understand all these terms very, very clearly. Because the vehicle manufacturer, they send us the literature about the servicing of the vehicle, wherein they should understand the different terms. And nowadays you will be surprised that most of the people who are servicing your vehicle, they have very little technical background. Okay, तो सर ये जो है टो इन के कारण टायर वियर होता है, टो इन द टायर वियर आउटसाइड शोल्डर वियर आउट, टो इन के भी कारण होता है। ये है आपका टो आउट विच इज शोन हियर, एंड दिस इज द इनसाइड वियर ऑफ द टायर। ये जो स्प्रिंग है ये इनसाइड बॉडी है, तो टो आउट के कारण इनसाइड में वियर होता है। दिस इज द डायरेक्शन ऑफ सेंटर ऑफ द कार, द पर्पस ऑफ द टो. So toe in is provided to ensure parallel rolling of the front wheels, stabilize the steering, prevent excessive tire wear. The amount of toe in is usually 3 to 5, जो difference है जो मैंने बताया है. और toe out alignment can help to mitigate the issues related to understeer and can improve the handling of the vehicle that has a rear wheel drive. So ये सर रियर व्हील को भी कभी कभी टो इन एंड टो आउट देते हैं। सो रियर इंडिविजुअल टो इज रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर टायर वियर, थ्रस्ट एंगल एंड व्हीकल ट्रैकिंग के लिए, तो ये भी सर कभी कभी स्पेसिफाई किया जाता है। अभी हम लोग फिर यहाँ रुकेंगे. नेक्स्ट स्लाइड में we will see the tire and tire wear patterns. Okay. Sir, is a toe in and toe out due to camber effect? Sir, camber, caster, toe in, toe out, they are totally independent. So one is it is very difficult to comment that the toe in and toe out is due to camber effect. No, sir, because for camber you see the vehicle from the front, it is related to top of the wheel and the bottom of the wheel, whereas the toe in or toe out, when you look the vehicle from the top and the total axis is different, so they are not the effect, they cannot be effect of that. These please note that anybody is having 3 degrees of freedom. If you are saying only translational degrees of freedom, so it is related to that, or you can say rotational. Here in this case you are just tilting, that means you are rotating. So 3 rotation and 3 translation, that makes total 6 degrees of freedom in the body, and they are independent motion, so they are not the effect of one or the other. Yeah, does that answer your question, sir? So we'll stop here. So if you do not have any question,